line up at the mics, or we can pass mics, or just raise your hand. Does anybody have a question for the group? Okay. Okay, great. Actually, I would say the best way is to get in the line. Yeah. Go for it.
Hi, thank you so much for coming. And I really enjoyed the presentation. It is very motivating, amazing to see the ideas. And being an entrepreneur, I was wondering if you can share with the rest of the audience your lowest point in your journey. And I'm pretty sure being an entrepreneur, there are many times you just want to pull your hair and ask yourself, why am I doing this? And I was wondering if you can share some of those moments with us.
Is the question directed to me?
Is it just to anybody, or if you
Yes, this question is for everybody.
So whoever wants to take it.
I could take it if you want it. I don't know, I can't see. Oh, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, go for it, Yumna.
Yeah, of course, there are many low and high points, and we do continuously experience low points. I mean, first we had a concept that we were just showing agribusinesses that we can pump their water, and we're an Egyptian company, we can do that, but it's very difficult for us. It was very difficult for us to sell a product that was never implemented. So it took us 2 years to actually implement our first product. And then I always thought that once we do that, it's going to be smooth sailing from there. And our challenges actually keep on increasing. Today, we're growing very fast, and we need to sustain this growth. These are other challenges that we face. Sometimes I feel, oh my God, are we really going to make it? Are these big ideas that we're talking about, are they realistic? Can we actually achieve it? And then sometimes there are these highs where you know that, oh my God, we actually made it. So there's always the hope that you will reach that high again. I mean, that's my answer.
Thank you, Yumna. Hani.
Thank you all for the people that have already presented some very inspiring presentations. I had a question specifically for Juzur and Recyclobikia, because both of you guys deal with obtaining a raw, in this case, waste resource to produce something useful and profitable out of it. For Juzur, what other agricultural residues are you looking at, like esh-roz or anything else? And for Recyclobikia, I know that e-waste is, it sounds impressive because it's in the tons, but you need many, many tons to make a lot of money. Are there restrictions on people exporting to you, i.e. you importing e-waste from other countries? Are there restrictions from the government, and is it cost effective for people within this audience and their networks to figure out ways to funnel e-waste towards Recyclobikia?
طيب أنا هرد على الجزء الأولاني من السؤال. إحنا شغالين على ميلي دلوقتي على يعني جريد النخل. عندنا مكان قش رز وعندنا مكان فرم حطب ذرة. عندنا المكانتين دول، بس إحنا ميلي شغالين دلوقتي على جريد النخل علشان إحنا شايفين إن ده هو الحاجة الإنوفيتيف اللي إحنا شغالين بيها. وأنا شايف إن هي دي الفترة اللي هنعرف يعني هنعرف نعمل امباكت بيها في الفتره الاولانيه لينا. احنا بادئين ما بقالناش 6 اشهر، يعني انا واصحابي خارجين 2013، فلسه يعني ما لحقناش يعني. واحنا مجرد عندنا بس ورشه صغيره في مدينه نصر ابتدينا نشتغل فيها على الار ان دي بتاعت البرودكتس والماشينز، ولسه يعني لسه مجرد ان احنا الفكره وابتدينا ننفذها وطلعنا بس البرودكتس دي في خلال الكام شهر اللي فاتوا يعني.
I'm going to actually translate that just for anybody who doesn't speak Arabic in the audience. He basically said that they're working on, the husks from rice and corn, as well as the midrib of the palm, but that the midrib of the palm seems to be the most innovative. They have workshops that are doing stuff that other people aren't doing, and they've only been doing it for about 6 months, and they've managed to do all of what they're doing, so they're focusing on that first.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question. Regarding, yes, there is a legislation that prevents me to import any kind of electronic waste inside Egypt. The quantities in Egypt is good, is pretty good for the current stage that we are collecting and sort and then send outside. But for the next step, when I will take it, inshallah, I will think about my connection in the region. I have some connections in the region, in the Middle East region. Once I will start to build or set up the refinery, I will first try to change the legislation. And actually, we have changed another legislation at the beginning of the company, while we were sending the electronic waste outside, the customs they were imposing fees because we are exporting, according to them, metals. But it's not metals, it's hazards and mixed fraction hazards with metals. So we have changed this legislation. It takes us around 6 months to change this legislation. We will change the other one, inshallah, if we go for refinery. Thank you.
Thank you. Mustafa, can I ask you a question? Was going to Tokyo the first time you had left Egypt? What? When you went to go look at the refinery, was the story you told me, was that the first time you had left Egypt?
Sorry, I did not get the question.
خلاص مش
لا sorry, say it again.
انت لا لما سافرت اول مرة عشان تشوف الريفاينري برا.
Actually, I did not travel to see it yet because it's prohibited for me to visit it at the beginning because there are a lot of secrets. But I will try to visit it maybe in the future.
Not the German one, the other one, Fustin.
The other one, there is no big refinery in China. It's small refineries, and it's not that big in Europe.
Okay, all right, yalla. Okay. Let's take more questions. Ahmed, sorry, I was.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
Hi, my name is Ahmed Zibzef. My question is, I'm kind of amazed how much you're able to do in such a short amount of time. So if you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice from the beginning, what would each individual, even the people who have not spoken, have told yourselves?
That's a great question.
Maybe I would say that, should I still wait and finish my study first and then start to avoid this hassle of military and obligatory military service?
حليناها.
ايوه تراجع اهو.
Other people, if you had to go back, are there enough mics for you? Can you pass?
بص انا شايف ان انا لو رجعت خطوه ورا انا شايف ان انا كنت اشتغل اكتر على ارض الواقع. يعني دي اول حاجه. تاني حاجه ان انا كنت متخيل ان انا لما اجي ابتدي ستارت اب هبقى حاجه كبيره قوي وان انا في ثانيه هبقى يعني واحد جامد جدا. الفكره ان انا اول حاجه عملتها ان انا كنت بنزل اجر الورشه وان انا اشتري زباله وانظف الارض وانظف الورشه كل شويه وانا كنت متخيل ان انا هبقى كده. يعني تخيل ان انا بقى واحد كده محترم وهلبس بدله وبتاع بس في الاخر طلع الموضوع مختلف يعني. فان انت تبقى متخيل ان انت تبقى يعني تشوف الصوره اللي انت هتوصل لها في الاخر دي هي بتبقى في بروسيس ثانيه. انا ميكانيكال انجينير فانا متخيل بقى ان انا هبقى شغال في المكن وبس. لا انت تشتغل يعني تمسح وتكنس كل حاجه. يعني دي حاجه بتعملها.
As a translation, what he was saying is he had envisioned, that it would be, a much more prestigious thing in the beginning, and he would all of a sudden, be successful in all of these things. But you really have to roll up your sleeves and get down in the dirt in every single way, including cleaning up things and doing all the details. And but that's part of the game. And going into it with that mindset is probably the advice he would have taken in the beginning. Okay, let's take 2 more questions and then we'll break for lunch.
Okay, the question to Tahrir Academy, SAFE. Have you thought or you actually done in the past going back and do a meeting with anyone who actually end up watching your YouTube channel and get a feedback from them and how those classes changed their lives or impact them in any way?
That's really important. We always work with our learners. We don't call them kids like in education you call them learners. But we always work with them. We invite them to focus groups. We do a lot of testing to our videos and courses before they're actually published. And we also we have a Tahrir Academy classroom, which is mainly our blended learning experience and blended learning model, which will hopefully evolve into a model later. And in this Tahrir Academy classroom, we embed the videos in a traditional learning environment, and then we take feedback, qualitative and quantitative feedback from the learners themselves. It's a lot of work. For those of you who worked on this kind of monitoring and evaluation kind of thing, it's very, very costly. And to do it properly, it's a lot of work. But we hope that we're able to do it even better in the future. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, last question.
Stupid question. Who is an NGO, who's not?
NGO.
We have 3 NGOs and 4 for-profits.
And I honestly regret it.
Exactly. That's my question. Why are you guys set up as an NGO?
It was 2011. I think the outlook of every Egyptian was different at the time.
Well, a corporate is also a good thing. A corporation is a good thing.
It is, of course.
You don't have to be evil, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, for me, I used to have a company for 5 years.
Change it.
So
Well, why don't you change it?
we're actually considering.
Actually, Helm, of course you're going to know what we do later on, but we have the NGO, and then we have the other part of the model, which is going to be sustainable small businesses. But also, when we thought of the NGO, it doesn't mean that we're an NGO that we're not sustainable. We're trying to be sustainable, but there are so many other benefits that we can have for the kind of work that we do and the scale that we want to reach. We actually need to be an NGO because we're working on such a global level. We need so much cooperation, and we don't need to pay taxes and a lot of benefits that you get from an NGO when you want the social. Like, ideally, we would have preferred to be a social business, but the kind of model in Egypt does not really support.
Well, and I think this brings up a really important point, and actually a good one to close on before lunch, which is we view at Rise nonprofit or for-profit as a legal structure. But what we're really trying to do is work with all of these initiatives to ensure that they are financially sustainable, viable, growing entities that can scale. And that is a bit more challenging with the nonprofits, of course, but because of the nature often of not just the legal framework in which they're operating, but also perceptions and whatever. But on the other hand, there are sometimes benefits to being a nonprofit in terms of community engagement. And I think that does make social enterprises different sometimes when they are very heavily community focused, because people do view who is the beneficiary in the end differently if you're a nonprofit or for-profit, and especially there's a lot of education to be done in Egypt around nonprofit doesn't have to be a small charitable organization. It is just a legal structure that talks about, where are the profits from this organization going? Are they being reinvested in the organization itself? Are they getting distributed to shareholders? Those are the sorts of things that we hope over time we can also talk about, open a conversation about in Egypt, educate around. Nonprofit organizations do not have to be small charitable organizations. We want to shift the conversation around what a nonprofit is and can be. But with that, and I think it's a great, it's been a great first half to the social enterprises. I think we will break for lunch. I hope ask them tons of questions. We'll take a coffee break after the second half get to present, so you can ask them tons of questions as well. And thank you so much, and we'll see you back here in 1 hour.